Chapter 1. Sirens pierced the early morning peace, growing louder, coming closer, while I was on my morning run. I crossed the street and glanced left as an ambulance turned the corner and raced past, down 2 blocks before turning left. A younger woman with her baby stroller joined me on the corner as the siren stopped. "Looks like someone in our neighborhood," she said. "I hope things are okay." Me too. Even though we hadn't lived here for long, I'd already become acquainted with some of our neighbors. That was definitely something that was more typical of small towns than my previous life in Chicago. But then, this was my previous life, the small town where I'd grown up. "I'll say a prayer." I nodded. Good idea. I'll go see. I raced the 2 blocks and turned the corner. My heart sank. The ambulance had stopped in the driveway of a close friend from high school. More like a brother than a friend, though after I moved away, we'd drifted out of regular contact. The only time we'd spoken recently had been at a garage sale a few weeks back. Was it a heart attack? Surely Troy was too young. He'd be my age, 42. I slowed to a walk. The paramedics were already inside, the front door open. What should I do? A next-door neighbor in his bathrobe was outside holding a mug of coffee. He came toward me. "Do you know what happened?" he said. I shook my head. He motioned with his thumb toward Troy's house. "I heard a gunshot. Just one." "Suicide?" I didn't say it out loud. "They've been fighting lately. Cops came a couple of months ago." Troy was not an angry person. At least 20 years ago, when I'd spent every moment possible with him and his family, he wasn't. I was relieved to see him appear in the doorway, even if he was staring off into space. "Excuse me," I said to the neighbor, and walked up Troy's driveway. He had sunk down on the front porch, sitting with elbows on his knees, hands over his face. He looked devastated, and I could feel my dread growing. What happened? Who was hurt? Was there a chance it was just an accident? Or was it something worse? "Troy," I said, "are you all right?" He mumbled something and shook his head. "Out of the way." Appearing in the door, a paramedic was leading the gurney back outside. He was holding an IV bag over a young man. With a jolt, I realized that the victim must be Troy's oldest son, Benny. He looked to be about the age of my own son, Ian. I felt queasy. I'd seen more than my share of crime scene and homicide photos in my years as a prosecutor. But seeing it in real life, real time, happening to the son of my friend. Another paramedic in gloves held a white gauze pack against Benny's left side, under his arm. It was red with blood. A gunshot wound. And not in a place where you would expect a suicide attempt. Who had pulled the trigger? Pushing the gurney was another paramedic, and then came Troy's wife, Denise. She held a small boy in her arms. Their other son, Charlie. The boy was sobbing. The paramedics moved quickly but carefully down the driveway, loading the gurney into the ambulance with Benny in the back. 2 climbed in with him, and the 3rd turned back to us. "Allegiance Hospital ER." Then he rushed to the driver's seat and pulled out of the driveway. Denise looked at me with no recognition. Then she grabbed Troy's hand and forcefully made him stand. "I'm taking Charlie to my mom's. I will see you at the hospital." She looked at me again, then started for the open garage. Without looking back, she said, "You go there now." Troy turned to me. "Maggie," was all he said. "What happened, Troy?" "My boy, Benny." Troy looked past me, like the answer was out there somewhere. He got shot. An accident? I said, feeling a rush of relief. Why had I let my imagination get the better of me? Of course it had been nothing more than an accident. Troy wouldn't have shot anyone. He didn't answer, still staring off with a distant gaze, clearly in shock. I'd always been told I was good in a crisis, but I had no idea what to do here. What did he need? Was there something I could do to help? Or was I just in the way? Are you okay to drive? His eyes came to mine. I can't believe this, Maggie. Then he turned to the door. I've got to go, he said, and disappeared inside. I stood there for a minute, staring after him. What would I do if I were in his shoes? If something happened to Ian? I could barely stand to even think of it. Ian was part of the reason my husband and I had recently moved back here, to the hometown I thought I left behind after high school. Over a lot of long, hard talks, Sean and I decided that we needed a change. Instead of focusing so much on my career, I needed to put Ian first and give him a home that was peaceful, stable, safe. I thought we'd find that here in Cary, Ohio. But nowhere is ever fully safe.